Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian from Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. And cooking dinner. So you stopped by at just the right time, really. And tonight we're going to do it's a one-pot dish. It's a stew. It's fall, going into winter, and even though I feel that stew and chilies are an any time of the year type gig, there are some people in my house, Chris, that think that stews and chilies are just for the fall to first part of spring, depending on where you live in the country. It's hot down south all the time, and they eat stews and chili all the time. That just kind of proves my point. But anyhow, we're gonna do a stew tonight that it is called a Texas Cowboy stew. And this has everything with the kitchen sink in it. If you like meat, it's got it. It's got sausage, it's got hamburger, it's got bacon, it's got corn and beans and just all kinds of broth. And pick a subject, it's got it in there. And it doesn't take long to make. I mean, really, we're looking at about 30-35 minutes to make this entire dish from start to finish, with the exception of prep, and even prep can be limited depending on what you want to do. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be an awesome dish. It's got some of my favorite food groups in it, hands down. Meat and beans and vegetables and spices, just all kinds of good stuff. But anyhow, that being said, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you want to skip this intro, go to about minute number 3, I'm going to guess. 3-ish at any rate, and you can get started right on the recipe. But if you're new to my channel, welcome. If this is your first video, I hope you get something out of this. Check out some of my other ones. If you're returning, thank you. To all my new subscribers, we've been growing in leaps and bounds. There's a good possibility we could hit 500 subscribers before too long. And that's 500 people in our neighborhood that you know, want to hang out, be a good neighbor, make some good food that's probably not too healthy for you. Speaking of which, the website that I got this recipe off of, that I discovered it on, was thisisnotdietfood.com. That right there should tell you everything you need to know about this stew. That means it's going to be full of flavor and, you know, hearty, meaty, you know, just wonderful. But anyhow, you know, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That gets us out in the algorithm. Helps to grow our neighborhood, right? That way we know we've got lots of people that believe in being a good neighbor, being a good friend, and eating good food together, you know, making a nice community. Comments, always welcome. All I ask is you be civil. You don't have to agree. Definitely speak your mind. Just be polite about it. Think before you type. And I think that's it. So why don't we head on down to the counter now, and we'll get started on this wonderful little treat. Hold on for me just 1 second. Alright, we are down here at the counter, and the only thing you will need for this is either a larger Dutch oven, which I don't have, or a stock pot, which I do have. I do have a Dutch oven, but it's only a 6-quart, and it seems like every time I use it, I can never fit everything in it. So, that being said, I also have my recipe hidden right here with all my spices on it, right there. And as always, written on paper. If we like it the way it is, we keep it. If we want to modify it, we most certainly can. If we don't like it at all, we just tear it down and throw it away. I've yet to have that happen though. I try, if you are new to my channel, almost 99% of the recipes I do, we do together for the first time. So I try to stick as close as I can to the actual recipe as it was written. And then I may modify it down the road. Now this one I did make a couple modifications too, just because I had things I wanted to use up. But that being said, so in our stock pot, the first thing we got is 1 pound of hamburger. Now you're saying to yourself, Brian, that's a lot more than 1 pound of hamburger, and you're right. I have 2 pounds in there because I want to brown up a pound for a meal later on down the road. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those 2 browned up, and then after we get that done, we can move on to the next set of ingredients. All right, so we got our hamburger nice and browned and crumbled, and I got it. And I went ahead, yeah, I can't really see that. And I went ahead and drained the grease off of it. Now, important thing to know if you're newer to cooking, never pour the grease down your drain. Put it in a can or a jar or something of that nature, a bowl, until it cools completely, and then just discard it in the trash. So the next thing I'm going to add to this is I'm going to go ahead and add 1 medium diced onion, chopped onion. We do ours fairly fine. You do yours however you like. Chris is not a big fan of large chunks of onion. So we're gonna put that in there, and then I've got 2 garlic cloves that I've minced, and by minced I mean I pushed it through my garlic press. I am way too lazy to sit here and mince garlic. And we're gonna let that cook and let that garlic warm up, get that flavor going, get the onions softened. If not, they won't be softened in the process. And then once we get that, 2-3 minutes, and then we can move on to putting in more stuff in our soup. Okay, now I can smell the garlic within a couple minutes. Onions are starting to soften up. They're not quite brown, but that's okay. They don't need to be. They're going to brown over the next couple minutes, because the next thing we got here, I've got 14 ounces of smoked sausage. Now I debated on whether I wanted to put just regular old smoked sausage in here, or if I wanted to do I can't think of what it's called. It's a Cajun sausage, andouille sausage in here. I thought this time around we used the smoked sausage. That's what it called for. But I think andouille sausage would go really well with that also. So we're going to continue to let this cook for just another minute or so. Get the sausage warmed up, maybe get a little color on it. And then that way we maximize that flavor. Okay, so we've let our sausage cook in here for a few minutes. I got some pieces that have got a little brown on them, which is always nice, but they're warmed all the way through, which is what the instructions wanted us to do. So I then proceeded to, I have 4 strips of bacon that I previously cooked, chopped it up. We're going to throw that in there. And we'll let that cook for a second. All right, we got our bacon reheated and introduced into the pot. So the next thing we're going to add to this, the recipe called for 3 medium potatoes. Let me back you up a little bit here. I feel like I'm right in your face with all this. There we go. 3 medium potatoes. I'm going to guess he meant russets, but we don't use russets here. We use red potatoes, so I went a little heavier and did what I perceived to be, by look, about 3.5 to 4 medium russet potatoes were the red potatoes. Now, the reason why he was probably using russets is because we're not adding any flour or starch to this. So with that, and that's what would thicken up the sauce and make it a stew versus a soup. So I just added, red potatoes have starch, they just don't have as much starch. So we got our potatoes in there. Now the next thing we're going to add is, you would add 1 15-ounce can, 1 standard small can of diced tomato with the juice and everything in it. Those are fresh cut. I have an overabundance of tomatoes at the moment due to the garden, and we've given some away, but not nearly enough. So instead of using up canned stuff I've already processed or we bought from the store, I'm using fresh, as often as I can. That way we don't waste any until I can give some more away. That's part of being a good neighbor and growing a garden. So the next thing we need to add to this, in the recipe it called for 1 can of kidney beans and 1 can of black beans. I do not have, well, I have a can of black beans, but Chris, my wife, I know I keep mentioning her, but you may not know who that is, does not care for black beans. I used my last can of kidney beans the other day and didn't think about it when I went to the store, so we're just going to put some chili beans in here instead, and we make our own chili beans. These are white chili beans. I actually need to make more chili beans for chili season, but these will work all the same. The things that are in the chili beans are actually the exact same things that I'll be putting in here for the most part, spice wise. So we got that in there. We'll get that all mixed up. I'm here to tell you what, that looks amazing just as it is. So the next thing we need is 1 15-ounce can of corn. This happens to just be the golden and white corn, but you use whatever corn you like. And then we're going to add a total of 3 cups of beef broth. There is 2, and I'll get my beef broth here and chug out the 3rd one. And then all we have left to do is add our spices. So, on a normal dish, well, in my mind, if I were to make this again, I would put my spices in when I was browning the hamburger, because we're going to put cumin in there, and chili powder, and smoked paprika, and some salt, and some pepper. And I think I would want that to be heated up and activated with the hamburger. You know, that way we get that flavor in there, but that's okay. I mean, I'm not arguing it at all. So the spices we're going to add, like I said, we're going to have some paprika. We're going to do a half a teaspoon of paprika. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of cumin. Throw that in there. We will do 2 teaspoons of chili powder. And I'm using fairly liberal teaspoons. That's the beauty of cooking versus baking, is you can kind of, you know, not ad-lib, but ad-lib. Yeah, you don't have to be precise, unless the recipe is something special that calls for precision. This is not really, I mean, it could be one of them, but I'm not making it as such, I guess. Not to take away from this, it's a beautiful recipe. Half a teaspoon of salt. I'm using kosher salt. That's all we use in the house. Very rarely will you find an iodized salt. And then 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And I'm using just a larger flaked ground pepper. So it'd be something similar to what it comes out of your grinder. We'll give this a mix. Like that. And then we are going to bring this up to a boil. Let me get the camera moved back. We'll have a conversation for a second and talk about what we need to do with this. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we've got it all together, and as you saw, I mean, it looks absolutely just delightful. And like I said, that starch in the potatoes is what's going to help thicken it up. So now what do we got to do? We got to bring this up to a simmer, and as soon as it starts to simmer, I'm going to put the lid on it, turn it down to low, and let it cook for about 20-25 minutes. Well, all we have to do is get those potatoes to be fork tender, right? Everything else in here is already cooked. So it'll give those spices and everything time to get to know each other. It'll give the potatoes time to soften up, and then we should be able to eat. So when I come back, we'll take a look at our finished product and try some. All right, see you here in a second. All right, we let it cook for about 25, 30-ish minutes. I wanted to make sure that the potatoes got, you know, fork tender, meaning I could stick a fork in it because it was done. So let's look on down here at what we got. Woo, maybe if I can pay attention to what I'm doing. And I got a fork right here, but what we're looking for is if we take a potato there, well, maybe if I can get a hold of one right there, we'll just throw it down here on the counter. But see how I could easily put that in there? That's fork tender, and that is our sorry, I'm doing this backwards, but that right there is our stew. So let me get you back up here real quick. On firm ground. I never claimed to be a cameraman, not by any stretch of the imagination. And we get that flipped back around there. Yay! So now there's a couple of things going on here. Let me get us down where we can see and talk and do it at the same time. So when I took it off of the stovetop, It's been sitting here for about 5 minutes. Like anything else, you want to let it cool for about 5-10 minutes. You don't want to, melt your face off. So that's what's going to happen. If we were to start eating this right away, we just simply melt our face off. But the sauce, it's starting to thicken, and as it sits and cools, it will thicken. The starch that was in the potatoes, potato starch, will naturally help to thicken that up. Or if it's not thick enough and you don't want to wait, so to speak, longer than that 10 minutes or so, you can take just like a 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon of cornstarch, mix it in a tablespoon of water, all right, or 2, to make it not a powder anymore, and then pour it in here, and that will help thicken it up as you sit here and stir it. But we're not going to run through all that. But anyhow, let me real quick go get a bowl, because I wasn't thinking that I didn't grab anything to eat this with, so that way we can try it. Hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I got a bowl. Go ahead and get this ladled up here right quick. It smells just amazing. Now, options for this are as follows. We can eat it just like this, or they even recommend a cup of shredded cheese that we could either put in it or on top of it. I opted to put it on top of it. Right here is my cup of cheese. Now they also recommended cheddar. I have cheddar, but I opted to go with a Colby Jack, and there was a couple reasons for that. A, I am all cheddared out. We've been eating cheddar around here like it's going out of style, and I really wanted something different to go with this. So I shredded up some Colby Jack, and I'm just going to throw that on here right quick. Maybe when you shred your own cheese, it amazes me how clumpy it can get. Now, I do know a fix for that. I just didn't do it. If your cheese does start to clump, once again, cornstarch is your friend. You can put just like a small amount, a minuscule amount in the cornstarch in with your cheese, and mix it in with it, and that will keep it from clumping. And then I've got some jalapenos right here. Then I'm just going to throw a few on there. They're fresh jalapenos. Once again, garden products. I've been trying to get rid of them. They use them up. And there we are, is our stew. So now all we got to do is try some. Hold on for me. I got to let the dog in real quick before she starts going. All right. So let's give this bad boy a shot. Get a little bit of everything in here. Ooh, that is steaming. That is perfect. Hats off to, this is not diet food. Whoever wrote this recipe, fantastic. I mean, Grant, we changed a couple of things. We put the chili beans in there instead of the kidney and black beans, and we went with the fresh tomatoes. But man, that is good. Yeah, try it just like that. I mean, change it if you wish. Hands down. I don't think you'll be disappointed either way it goes. But what an amazing, amazing dish. Hold on for me 1 second. My camera is all amuck. Yeah, and try this. Let me know if you do. You can leave me a comment down below. Hit us up on Facebook. Either way. Things you could serve with this. Grilled cheese would be good. I've been thinking about that all day too. Although we didn't make any grilled cheese, but that would be good with it. You could have it just by itself. This would be good with a cornbread or a Texas toast. Or you could warm up some flour tortilla shells and have those on the side with it. I wouldn't dare say throw some crackers in it, but you could. Or even some croutons for that matter. But anyhow, give this a try. Let me know if you do. Like I said, down in the comments below or on Facebook. Either way, you're not going to be disappointed. It is really the bomb. So tomorrow, for dessert, not real sure. Not real sure at all. I've been wanting to try to do some hand pies up. If you don't know what it is, it's a pie that goes in your hand. They're folded over, look like a half moon. You can buy them at the grocery store. I think Hostess and Little Debbie both make them, but we're gonna make our own and make them way better. And then I was thinking about a pie also, just a standard pie. We've been toying with a honey pie, and I think I have come up with one that will kind of knock our socks off. And if it works, I'll take credit for it. If it doesn't work, then we'll say my wife made the recipe. But either way, we're gonna do something for tomorrow for dessert. And so until then, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It's gonna make them feel a whole lot better. They probably might need to hear it. It's gonna make you feel good to tell them. And you know, you make them some of this Texas Cowboy stew, I guarantee you're gonna have conversation for hours afterwards, you know, and they're gonna know that you truly care. So till tomorrow for dessert, I love you. I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Yes, dear.